What's up, everybody? My name is Soliel. I am the owner of Soul Rise Essentials. And tonight we are here for Soul Seek Conversations. This is episode 12. I'm super excited. So for those of you who don't know what Soul Rise Essentials is, before we get on the topic of Soul Seek Conversations, we are a unisex affirmation apparel and wellness brand based in Richmond, Virginia. We create affirmation merch for the entire family and for resilient humans on the grow. Who are resilient humans on the grow? They are people that have experienced adverse life experiences, mental health bouts, just anything, trauma, all those things that you have had to overcome, but you're now on the other side of that, or you're trying to get on the other side of that, and you're doing your inner work to figure out the best version of yourself that you want to be in this life. So that's who we are. That's who we make merch for. We have merch for your kids, for you, your mama, your granddaddy, everybody. So we're also doing something a little bit different tonight. We're streaming live on Instagram as we always do. But we're also streaming live on TikTok, y'all. So this is extremely new for me. So y'all just bear with me. We will have the replay. If you're watching this replay, actually, you're going to be watching it either on either of these apps. But you may also be seeing this on YouTube. So hey, YouTube, hey, y'all, share this video with somebody. Let them know that you just found this new wellness brand that also sells affirmation apparel. And we talk about real things. We share resilience stories from around the world. Okay. So I see my guest is actually already in here. Y'all were in here with me early. I don't know where y'all at, but I see TikTok. Y'all representing tonight. But I'm excited, y'all. So what is Soul Seek Conversations? It's a wellness podcast that we do once a month. I can say we were doing it on one app, but now we're doing it on both apps. But it happens once a month, and we share resilient stories from around the world. We exist to connect, to create community, and to share new ways to thrive on your wellness and on your healing journeys. So again, we've been doing this for 12 episodes, and tonight we have our guest, Joseph Mays. I'm super excited about this one. This man is really impressive. He has such a unique path and just his whole story. So I don't even know where to start when we get into everything, but I do have some notes, and I'm excited to jump in and have y'all learn about his resilient story and the things that he's had to go through to be who he is today. So if you have a wellness story, not a wellness story, a resilient story, things that you had to overcome, things that you're thriving from now, right? You found new ways to thrive again after those experiences. I would love to hear from you. We just want to hear from you to make sure like your story is a good fit for our platform. But we have a whole new email for y'all. So send us an email at mystory@soulriseessentials.com if you want to be featured and share your resilient story on our platform. So I got a couple announcements, like some housekeeping things to discuss before we get into the conversation. So I'll do that, and then we'll bring Joseph in. And I know TikTok y'all are watching, so you're not going to be able to see Joseph, but you can hear him until we find a way to stream on all platforms live. We just have to do it that way for now. But if you want to see him, his face and everything, you can join us on the picture app, because I keep messing up and saying the name, but I'm not supposed to say the name anyway. All right, let me make sure. Give me 1 second. I'm going to send this to a couple people, because it's weird. Like normally folks would be in here by now. So I'm going to send it to some people. Y'all probably going to be like, why is she sending this to me? But I'm going to send it anyway. Some of our loyals are not here. So I'm like, did I do something wrong? All right, so I sent that out to a couple people. Okay, y'all. All right, so we talked about who Soul Rise Essentials is, what we do, what we sell. You can always go to our website at soulriseessentials.com and shop anytime you want. If you get on our email list, you can actually save 15% off your first purchase. So if I were you, I would just hop on the email list. If you're on the email list, you already know what we're doing tonight, because you got an email letting you know what we were doing tonight. Also, anytime we drop something new. So I have on my brand new I have on my brand new loved affirmation necklace. This has not hit the website yet. So if you want to get notified when this is coming on the website, it's probably a good idea for you to get on our mailing list. Also, if you want to see any past episodes of the Soul Seek Conversation, visit our YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel. We put all of the episodes on there, because I recognize like not everybody has, all the same social media accounts, right? But I want this to reach a global audience. So they are on replay on our YouTube channel. Just type in our name and the playlist will pop up on our YouTube page. I do want to say, since this is a wellness podcast, we talk about some deep things tonight, right? And in the past episodes, I always say this: we are not professionals. We are simply people living our experiences and sharing about our experiences. So if you need to talk to a therapist or someone else in the wellness space or in your place of worship, definitely reach out to them. Doctors, we are not doctors. We're simply talking about our lived experiences. So please don't take anything here that we say as like advice, things that you need to do. But again, just sharing stories to hopefully empower you to connect, and also just to help you feel a little bit better about day-to-day life, because we're all going through something, right? But there are people that have stories that they've overcome, and they're sharing their stories to empower you, to inspire you. So that's exactly what we do here on this platform. Also, trigger warning. We're going to talk about some things that most people are not as open or as comfortable talking about. Thank y'all for the love and the likes. What's going on? I appreciate you. What's up, T? But yeah, we're not professionals, and trigger warning because we get pretty heavy. But also, we like to have fun. We like to laugh, but we also are authentic people sharing stories on here. So just be mindful if you hear something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, it triggers something inside of you. Just be mindful. You can always exit out at any time you want. I know TikTok, y'all see me. I know I said T, I was like, T told me to go live on the TikToks with my soul seat. So here we are. But yeah, feel free to exit out at any time if you feel triggered. We'll be mentioning things about mental health, about mental illness, about abuse, so on and so forth. So I just want to put that out there. And I think that's all that I have, y'all. So let's get into it. We're going to bring Joseph in here. Let me see. I'm going to send you a request. Hey, Shanika. How you doing? All right, hold on. Let me find him. He was in here. All right. Can you send me a request? Because it's acting up. When I hit the request button, your name's not popping up. I'm excited, y'all. If you like conversations about mental wellness, you want to feel good, you like to feel inspired, definitely you are in the right place. Tonight, I'm glad you caught it too. This is different. I got 2 screens up, but I'm making it work. It's new, and we're going to try it. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. All right, there we go. We got the request. Let me get some water, y'all. I'm already parched. Uh-oh. Not the app giving us problems. All right, let's try it again. There we go. What's going on, Mr. Mays?
Hey, how are you?
You look like a R&B singer or something like that, or like a you look like somebody real important.
Yeah, no, we had like a banquet that I was attending, so I had to hand out an award, so they wanted everybody to dress up.
I love it. Well, you look great, and I appreciate you taking time to join us tonight.
My joy.
So, how you doing?
I am doing all right. Doing really good, actually.
I don't know what to call you, Pastor Mays, Joseph, Mr. Mays. Like,
no.
We didn't meet on a formal basis, so I'm like, okay, what do you want me to call you?
Joseph is fine.
All right, Joseph. Okay. Does anybody call you Joe?
Some people call me Joe. Some people call me other things. So it just really depends where I'm at. So.
All right, I'm gonna say Joseph, but if I slip up and say Joe, don't be upset.
It's okay.
All right, cool. Well, I just want to invite you, and introduce you to my audience. So we met like randomly. We were at a event at a school actually in Virginia where we both live at. And I'm prefacing this because I need people to understand, like, I didn't even know who you were. I didn't know what you did, anything like that. It was just a networking experience, a genuine connection. And I was really impressed, like, when I finally got a chance to talk with you to learn a little bit of your story. So I feel like your perspective and your life experience is just very fresh. You have a lot to say. You've been through a lot. So I really thought it was cool to highlight you on Soul Seed Conversations. I know I would love to hear what a pastor or ex-military or veteran person thinks about mental health, their experiences. We got a lot to talk about, okay?
Okay.
So before I finish talking, just go ahead and tell our audiences they're not, maybe not be familiar with you, a little bit more about you and who you are, what you do.
Okay. So the best way I could tell the nickel tour of my life, not that it's that interesting. So born and raised in St. Louis in the inner city. We could have probably moved someplace else, but my dad wanted to prove that you can raise intelligent African Americans in the inner city.
You gonna say the A or the ER? Or the OE?
I think it was O with the O in it.
Oh, the O. Okay.
My dad's a little old school, so I had to catch myself. But he really wanted to prove that just because you're where you're born, the environment does not necessarily influence what you'll become. And so he was very passionate about that. So we were raised there. And I remember I wanted to do more of my life. I wanted to get out of St. Louis really and just experience the world a little bit more, just to be more culturally diverse. St. Louis is a very segregated town, for better or for worse, but it is. And so I made the goal that I was going to go to college and do something different or something that would at least get me out of St. Louis for a while until I can give back. And
Yeah.
so I could see the arch from where I got off on the bus. And every time I would see that, I would tell myself, the arch is college and I'm just going to get there. I don't know how, but I know if
Right.
I start walking from right here, I can make it to the arch. So I did that for 4 years. And I did everything I could to get accepted to college. I did everything I could to be noticed to get into college. So everything I did had a purpose behind it. It wasn't just for the experience, which was great. It wasn't just because it was fun. It wasn't just to learn something. It was actually to make myself more attractive to colleges, because if I was going to go to college, I had to figure out how to pay for most of it. So I got a lot of scholarships. I got offered to go to a lot of places, and also got turned down from some places too. But when I got accepted, I went to McKendree. Well, it's McKendree College, now McKendree University. I went there, spent some time there, and I
Is that in
decided that
Missouri as well?
that's actually in Lebanon, Illinois.
Okay.
It's about 45 minutes from St. Louis, but it was in a small town. But the experience allowed me to be around a little more culture, not in the sense of it was really culturally diverse, but it allowed me to meet people from around the world. Allowed me to have conversations, difficult conversations, before it was a trend or a fad to be woke.
Yeah.
So it really allowed me to do those things. And so after college, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I know I wanted to give my life back. I wanted to give to the city that gave a lot to me. So I decided that my fiance at the time, it became my wife, we decided that we were going to work with juvenile delinquents in the inner
Before you
city.
get there,
Mhm.
because I didn't even give you well, tell them your titles and what you do now.
My title is Director of Mission for Bon Secours St. Francis.
Then what is that?
So
What do you, yeah.
yeah, it's a good question. Everybody wants to know what that means. My
Yeah.
job is to ensure we actually follow the mission. So my job is um, to do any and everything I need to do in order to ensure that we're giving a compassionate care. So that means I get involved in things. That means I work hard with the community. I work hard with the associates and leaders. I train people. I My job is to bring the executive principles of Christ to the executive table. So I'm what you call in the C-suite. I'm actually in my office right now, and so I'm just here to make sure that we're following that mission.
So when you
Um,
say mission, it's the mission of Bon Secours.
well, I like to say it's the mission of Christ.
Yeah.
Bon Secours is just joining that mission. So my
Okay.
job is to make sure we stay on that mission and actually don't get on the mission of Bon Secours. We're just on
Mm,
the mission of Christ. So it's not
wow.
about our personal agendas, what we want to bring to the table. It's about how can we glorify Christ in healthcare. So I do
Okay,
a
that's
lot of
awesome.
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right. So
cool.
you are a director of missions of Bon Secours, just in
hmm
Virginia, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just in
And
Virginia.
you are you a pastor?
I used to pastor. I
Okay.
pastored for 6 years. Um, And pastoring was fun. It's a. I mean, I still kind of pastor now. Once people find out you were a pastor, you're always a pastor. So
Yeah, you
everyone's
stuck
got a good
now.
question. Yeah, you can't get out of that.
Yeah.
But the joy I found in pastoring was just speaking truth, but also my goal, because I saw a lot of people who went to church that experienced a lot of hurt. I saw a lot of people
Mhm.
go to church and they got the theological answer. God is good. God wouldn't put them on you can bear, as opposed to people asking people, man, are you okay? You look like you're struggling. A drug addict doesn't necessarily need to hear that God loves you all the time. Sometimes they need to hear, let's get you to a detox center. Let's get you into rehab. Sometimes, the abusive husband who is hurting his wife, the wife
Mhm.
doesn't need to hear, well, just stay with him because it's unbiblical to divorce. The wife doesn't need that. And and people are really hurting. People have been abused. They've been hurt. So trauma-informed care is okay. Therapy is okay. I
Mhm.
always like to tell people it's okay to have Jesus and still go to a therapist. You're
Right.
not saying that therapist is better than Christ, but you're
Yeah.
saying that God has gifted somebody to help. I mean, it's funny. We encourage people to go to the doctor. I mean, we encourage people to go to the optometrist. We encourage people to, eat healthy. But when
Mhm.
you talk about therapy, people are like, no, I don't need that.
Yeah.
And that's something in the Black community. I think the church originally, and I'm not just talking about the Westernized church, what we kind of grew up in, but more so the Eastern church that most people don't understand. They held fast, right? And so the Eastern church was really about the community and how they can grow together and grow in Christ. And one of the things I try to help people see is like, we're in this together. Like I don't necessarily need you to tell me the scripture. I need you to show me how the scripture relates, because my
Show
wife
me the
just walked
scripture
out
in
on me.
action.
Yes, my wife just literally walked out on me. I need to know how can you and then, yeah, pray for me, but at the same time cry with me. Let me know it's
Yeah.
okay to be upset and maybe even cuss if I'm really feeling all that.
Because
Let me know that that's
yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
I know.
that.
I do my best. I do my best. It's
Right.
my goal every year not to.
So
Haven't
you
made it there
used
yet.
right, same here. It's so
Mhm.
you used to pastor. I don't know why I thought you were still pastoring. So director of
Everybody does.
missions.
Yes, when I
Because
start
I
talking
mean,
to people, they still think I'm pastoring. Then I tell
right.
them, no, I'm really not.
Okay.
But it's just who I am, so it comes out me naturally. That's all.
Exactly. And then
Um,
also you are a veteran.
yeah, was in the military 3 years.
So what
Hmm.
branch of the military?
The only one that matters, Army.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord, here you go. I don't know nothing about all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so am I missing anything? I felt like it was important not to throw titles
Yeah.
around or anything like
No,
that,
that's okay.
just for people to understand where your perspective and your viewpoints are coming from. I think
Yeah.
it's really unique. So am I missing everything? I mean, missing anything?
Well, I've been a social worker, director of a juvenile delinquent facility for rehab. I've done
Mhm.
foster care case management, been a foster parent, an adoptive parent. I used to act a little bit. I
All
was an
right, I can
egg.
see that.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
apparently didn't work out. I was a egg food plant assistant manager. I don't know what that was going on with that. And then
Okay.
I was a ESL instructor. So I worked with people who
ASL.
ESL. So
Mhm.
people who couldn't speak English, I worked with them to help them communicate.
Oh wow! Somebody in the comments, brother from New
Yeah,
Collar
hoorah. Yeah,
Solutions.
hoorah. Yeah,
Okay, oh y'all
90
got
Alpha.
that. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for your service. Yeah.
But you also did not share with the Soul Tribe family that you are a former mayor.
Oh yeah, I forgot about yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He just gonna forget he
Yeah.
was a mayor.
Yeah. That was the closest thing I did. That was the one of the last things I did. I transitioned from mayor. Yeah. I
Wow.
was a
And
mayor of
what
a small
state?
town, Iowa, in the good state
Iowa.
of Iowa, for the wonderful city of Estherville. Yeah, I was it was a cool story. I was the first African American mayor. I didn't tote that, but I was the first one. Um, and I can tell you at first, the night I got elected, some people weren't happy. Some people were
Mm.
saying a lot of crazy things. But what I had to do was I had to show people that, because most people aren't used to African Americans or people of color being in a high leadership position, so they don't know how to respond to that just yet. And so, because they either expect you to be Barack Obama or President Barack Obama, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, they expect you to be all these different things. And so you kind of have to break that mold and just be yourself. Because, I mean, President Obama would encourage me to be just like him. He would encourage me to be myself and lead well and take care of the people. And so after I got elected, COVID hit. We had the racially tense summer. We had the political tense summer.
Oh
And
wow.
so kind of had to guide the city through that stuff because it was hard. It was hard on me. So a lot of times we spoke about racial injustice. We spoke about inclusivity. We celebrated months that normally wouldn't be celebrated in a conservative town. And one of the things that we were trying to let people know, we really just are trying to educate you. We're not saying you have to celebrate, and we're not saying we're asking you to condemn, but we're also asking you just to educate yourself.
Yeah. And just
Because
to
when
acknowledge what's going on around you.
yeah,
Yeah.
acknowledge it. And
Yeah.
you don't, I always try to tell people, you don't have to understand what someone's going through, right? It's kind of like somebody's having being rude to you, and then you find out that something tragic happened. You go, I'm so
Right.
sorry. Right.
Right.
I don't
Now
have
I
to be,
understand. Now I can
yeah.
empathize. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't need to know how your day's going and what happened to you to be nice to you.
Yeah.
And so what research has shown us, evidence-based practice has shown that if you allow someone who is different than you, whether it's an ideology, how they look, how they talk, to teach you something, you
Hmm.
actually change your mindset. Your unconscious bias can actually
Yeah.
change because now
Absolutely.
you see this as a normal thing. And really what we were trying to help people to do is to recognize each other as human beings. So we worked hard. And this was way before, unfortunately, the death of George Floyd. We did this way before that. Because one of my big things is don't do stuff because it's trendy. When I saw everybody protesting, that's fine. My only encouragement to them was make sure you stay after the protest, though. Don't
That
just
part.
protest and leave. You're going to protest and then make a plan to stay and a plan of action who you're going to work with.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're all got to live here together, whether we want
Yeah.
to or not. Um,
Yeah.
we, Nobody's going any place else but right here. So let's work together.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that perspective. I do want to read a comment. A
yeah.
graceful flow. This is Angela. She says, God has used you so well. Wow. He's not done yet either. Right? Like, is he 60? Is he 80? Is he 100?
Nah,
Like, he's done
uh,
so much in
no,
his
I'm 40.
time.
I'll
You're
be
40.
42 this year.
Wow, man. Whatever you're doing, you're taking care of yourself well. And
I
like
got
she
to.
said, I'm impressed by everything that you've done in
Yeah.
40 years. Like, that's a
Yeah.
lot. I
Yeah.
also wanted to touch on, we're talking a little bit about who you are now, right? What I
Hmm.
love to do with Soul Seed Conversations is to get behind the person, right? To
Hmm.
uncover and peel back the layers of the onion and figure out, okay, you've done all these amazing things. You
Yeah.
button up pretty well. You're looking great, but what are those things that you had to go through? Because I deal with this a lot. Like people, even
Hmm.
to this day, they see you look a certain way, you're doing certain things, and
Yeah.
they don't think, they see you present day and that's it. So I like to share
Hmm.
those stories behind people. And you don't have to be considered successful. This is a
Yeah.
podcast for just everyday people. You just so
Yeah.
happen to be blessed with opportunity. So
Yeah.
I really want to get more into your story. You've moved around a lot. You said you're
Oh yeah.
from Missouri. You've lived in Illinois. I know you lived in Colorado before coming to
Illinois,
Virginia. So you've done,
Colorado, Georgia, South Carolina.
did you say
Um,
Hawaii too?
no, I wish. Oh,
Oh,
I was praying the Lord sent me there. It was like on a mission, but it never happened.
yeah.
Um, Georgia and South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado and now Virginia.
Can
Yeah, I've
you speak to,
got to see a
mhm.
lot.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
can you speak to, and I know you're military, but this is something I've
Hmm.
always wanted to ask military people, but you
Hmm.
have a family as well.
Hmm.
Can you speak to like the effects on your mental health, if any, of moving around so much?
Um, I think the hardest part about that is so like when I look back at those Mayor videos, I critique myself a lot and I'm looking at how I'm talking, right? And so I noticed my voice, I always changed it. And it's because there's this white box that you fit into, right? And for African Americans and people of color in general, we've learned to fit into that white mold in order to get promoted, in order to get money, in order to get a job or elected. We learn to fit in the white mold. You
Code
can't see the
switching. There's a term for
Yes,
that.
yeah, code switching, yeah.
Code
But
switching.
it's beyond code switching. You're
Okay.
basically trying to emulate a white person,
Mm.
right? If I was white in this position, how do I need to act and behave, right? And so it's not that we necessarily deny our culture, and that's why you do code switch, because so if I'm around you, I'm going to switch, right? And one of the things I got tired of was code switching all the time because I had so many titles, I had so many different positions, I did so many different things. I'm constantly changing who I am so
That's
other people can
exhausting.
feel comfortable, right?
Right.
If I
It's
was
exhausting.
doing it to communicate so you can understand, that's one thing. But if I'm doing it so you can feel comfortable, but I have to be uncomfortable, then that's a big, big problem. And so I had to stop doing that. I had to tell myself because I'm telling my kids, be yourself, and I'm not doing it. So I'm a hypocrite. I'm a liar, and I can't do that. So I stopped fitting into that box. You can't see in my office, but I have a lot of African American action figures. Reason being, because I didn't have any when I was a kid. So now I bring them here, and when people come in, they ask, and it presents a story to itself. And
Mhm.
I'm more of myself now. So I try to keep a part in my hair when I get my hair cut. My barber did a great job, but you can't see it right now. But I try to keep a part in my hair because that's me just being me.
Mm.
If not, then it means I would just get it cut normal because I've been a politician. So I had to stop doing those things. I had to be comfortable wearing the dashiki if I wanted to. I had to be comfortable with using slang if I needed to get a point across. And I
Right.
had to be comfortable being passionate.
Yeah.
And
So,
so
uh-huh.
the toll it takes on you mentally
Mm-hmm.
is you start to lose who you are and
Mm-hmm.
you start to get angry. And you're not really angry at the people around you. You're angry at yourself because you didn't speak up when you should have. You're angry at yourself because you've changed so much that you don't even recognize who you are. You're angry at yourself because now you can't tell if you're pursuing this goal to make someone else happy or are you pursuing this goal to actually give God glory and do the right thing. So it's really hard. And it's important that people can see themselves in you. So it took a toll, and being in the military and all those things, like it did take its toll on me to the point where you could see it in my face, and PTSD really got a hold of me.
So
And
that's something we hadn't shared yet. So you do have
no, yeah,
PTSD,
yeah.
and we'll talk a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit more about that too.
oh
And
yeah.
thank you for being so open about that.
No
So
worries.
have there been any positive, because I have military friends and they seem to just adapt. That was, we talk a lot about resilience and with Soul Rise Essential, we got a necklace to prove
Hmm.
it. So I know that resilience, plays a part in that. You have to adapt. As humans, we naturally just adapt. We
Hmm.
adapt to the weather,
Yeah.
we adapt to changes, life experiences. So what about
Mhm.
like positive things that have come from you moving around so much?
The positive things are, one, me and my wife grew closer because we were all we had. Two, our kids got to see life as it really is.
Mm,
Like I said, before being woke was a fad, my kids got to experience like real life. They got to experience that trauma comes from everybody.
yeah,
Any ism doesn't care what you are, it's going to come for you. Trauma is going to come from you. Trouble is going to come from you. Death and disease and all that stuff. It's not racist or sexist. It will
that
come for
part.
you.
That part.
And so my kids got to see that.
Yeah.
And then they got to see, not all white people are the devil, not all white people are bad, not all white people are against you, and not all black people are people of color doing the right thing. And so it helped them to put some things in perspective.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what it did is taught them how to love well.
Mm,
So by the time we got to Iowa, we ended up adopting, and we were just doing foster care. The kid, um, he was white, and um, just after a while he just became a part of our family. He was us. And I only remember sometimes that he's white when someone nicely reminds me, oh
yeah.
yeah, he's white. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot, thanks.
Yeah.
But so we adopted him, and now he's a part of our family. And so when all this stuff was happening, um, one of the things that we learned was, man, we really got to live together, and the only way really to learn how to live together, you got to talk to people.
Yeah.
And also, too, you have to admit that some of the stuff you went through was traumatic. I
Mhm.
mean, being oppressed, racism, that's traumatic stuff. And you just don't get over it.
Yes.
But
And people say just get over it. They don't understand.
right, right, you can't, because
Yeah.
if I could just get over it, trust me, I would have done that yesterday. But I
Mhm.
can't, because it hurts. And the reason why it hurts, the reason I'm upset, because the me inside of me, the Christ, the hope of glory inside me, and all that stuff, it loves me.
Mm.
And so when I see you treating me differently,
Mhm.
it defends me. It's passionate about me because I'm a human being, right? And so that's why we do that. And then it's also hurtful. People don't think people understand. There's really polite racism, and that racism is, oh, you're going through. I know what it feels like. I've read White Fragility. You don't know what it feels like. Just
Yeah.
like I don't know. I can't tell you about sexism. I can't tell you if I'm sexist because I'm a dude. I'm in the
Mhm.
majority. And
Mhm.
so I don't need to understand, and I don't need to seek to figure out why this hurts. All I need to know is you're my friend. I care for you, my brother and you're my sister, and I see you're hurting. And
Right.
because you're hurting, I'm hurting. And
Right.
now I'm going to be motivated to do something, because that's that word the compassion really means. You see someone in a position that you know is not right, and you have this desire or this passion to help get them out. So you're going to act on behalf. And so if you're hurting, if someone being sexist to you bothers you, it should bother me too, and I should
Mhm.
do something about it.
Wow. Now I can kind of see why. And somebody in the comments, Angela says, well, church is in session. Yes, it is. But it's
Yeah,
in such a real authentic way that for me, typically I don't see you in church. But
yeah,
I see why you've kind of, because we relate similar to this. Don't you have a twin too?
yeah. I do.
Yeah, we
I
both
do.
have twins. We have a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I can relate to you moving around so much and doing this
Hmm.
and doing that, but your
Yeah.
light shines. I'm sure like
Oh,
people in every
yeah. I
stage of
appreciate
your
that.
life and all of your professions will never forget Joseph Mays, right? So people
Hmm.
like us, sometimes we can't sit in one spot. We got work to do,
No, no, no,
but you
because things got
plant
to get
seeds.
done.
Things got to
Hmm.
get done. You plant seeds wherever you are. And I'm sure there are other people that I don't want to say left in those places, but are still in those places and you impacted them. So that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. And it's a true
Hmm.
testament to the old hymn, Let Your Light Shine. How the song go? Let it shine,
Uh,
let it shine, let it
let it
shine. That's
shine. Let
exactly
it
what you're
shine.
doing. This little
Yeah.
light of mine.
Yeah.
So that's a
Thank you.
beautiful thing. I really wanted to highlight some of the things that I know about. You are a
Hmm.
stranger to me, essentially, but we've talked about your story. And I just, again, thought it was important to share like the tidbits of who you are, because it's a lot. Like we can talk for
Yeah.
hours. But I do want to stay on track. So
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk to you about your family. So how long have you been married?
Be 19 years next
Wow.
month. 19 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you
Thank you.
all have how many children together?
4.
4. So do you have multiple foster children that you adopted, or just that one?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. This is another subject. So we adopted 2 in the beginning, and our son's brother, he was so traumatized and hurt so much by those who were supposed to love him that he couldn't get over his trauma. And so the only way to really deal with his trauma was to traumatize others. And so, and when it comes to this kind of stuff, it takes courage to say, my love is not enough to get you through.
Yes.
Because I'm going to end up sacrificing everybody else for the sake of you. Now, only one person can do that, and that's Christ, right? But look what happened to him. He had to die, right? And so I'm not called to die like that in that sense at that moment. And so we had to make the very difficult decision to say, so we're going to let go of our parental rights in order for you to get the help that you need, in order for us to love our children well. Now, in my heart, he's still my son. I still got his picture. He's always going to be my boy. But if you're going to love well, then you need to know when your love is not enough.
Yeah.
Because what's going to,
No,
because
seriously,
what's going to,
Christine in the comments said, wow, like seriously, plant seeds where you are. No, literally, I'm so glad you said that, because it's a mental wellness podcast, right? So we gonna go there. There are in a relational sense, not even in just a familial sense, in the way what you're talking about it, but so many people think they can love their way through a traumatic situation or a traumatic person. Sometimes the love is in letting go so that person can receive what they need, and so you don't damage yourself trying to love or outlove somebody's trauma. So man, that is powerful.
Because sometimes you can't.
Well.
Sometimes you can't. And
sometimes you can't.
That's just, I mean, and that's realistic. That's realistic. Sometimes I can't love you well enough to help you change. And even just relationally, like you get some people to get together and they just can't love well, right? They're not going to change, and you love them. And this is why I see some people just staying with people through so much. And because we all want to be that aspiring story. Look, we pushed through and we're together. But in the midst of that, those 20 years of heartache, you have ruined your children.
It was 20 years of a hot mess.
Right, exactly. And people have been traumatized and messed up. But so we don't, as African Americans, I try to stress this, we don't always need to seek the testimony how we overcame. What we need to do is seek the testimony how we let go. Because we all say let go and let God, but okay, then really let go. And if God is good and God is great and you really trust God, then even though it's hard, because now we got to deal with your trauma of letting go, I know that God will take care of them. I know that God will be with them. Because one of the things that a good mentor pastor told me was, don't prostitute yourself by going out there and just doing it. God will take care of his people. And we have to realize, especially as leaders, this is so important as leaders, we think we're supposed to lead forever. No, I'm supposed to lead for a season, and then I need to move on. Because what I'm doing is hindering everybody else's growth because I think I need to be here. It needs to be my show. And so if I'm going to love you well, if I'm going to leave you well, then I need to be able to let go when it's time, let the next person or the next situation take over. And I truly need, so for my son, I know he's going through a lot. I have to believe and I have to trust that God is going to take care of that. And that even though I don't like the situation, even though I don't agree with it, one, God is big enough to handle my feelings, so I can tell God, I don't like this. 2, God is greater than me. We sing about it, Almighty God. We got it in every song, any worship song. Well, if he really is, then step back.
That's good. So you have one foster child. You had 2 that you adopted. One you just talked about, and then one is still with you. And then you have your birth children. 3?
Yeah.
3 of them?
3.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was following you correctly. So you also talked about you and your wife doing work together, and working with juvenile delinquents. And
Yep.
let's talk more about that. I'm gonna read some comments real quick. Bianca, my cousin, she said God is good all the time, y'all. Angela
Wrong with
says,
that.
do it in God's righteousness and truth. He is God alone. Okay, I didn't know we was going to
Hmm.
church tonight, but since the
Me
man is a
neither.
former pastor, of course we gonna
Me
talk about
neither.
some God and some
Yeah.
Jesus tonight, okay?
Yeah.
But yes, tell us
Uh,
more about the work that you and your wife are doing together.
Tamika is the love of my life.
Yes, Tamika.
So
I
I
love that she got
know.
a black name too.
Oh
But go
well,
ahead.
it's it's a black name.
Yes.
Um, so the thing about Tamika, so everyone sees this in the things that I've done, but they don't understand like a lot of this is really the seeds that Tamika has planted in me, and the truth Tamika has spoken to
Oh,
me.
she's here.
Um,
Hello.
yeah, there she
She said,
is.
hey.
Um, she's just been she's my everything. And
Yes.
so I actually followed Tamika into working with juvenile delinquents. She was doing it way before I was.
Okay.
And she taught me a lot. She taught me about listening to people well. She taught me about these kids have gone through traumatic events. And so, Joe, you got to be patient.
Mm.
Like, your life doesn't change in a sermon. It changes in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's not just you got to tell them something inspiring. You got to give people a call to action. You've got to say, okay, so listen, what's your plan? And one of the things I like to do with people is what's your 10-year goal? And it's very simple. This is what you want to be in 10 years. What do you need to do 5 years from that to get there? And then they write it down. What do you need
Yes.
2.5 years to get to that 5-year part? What do you need? And you keep going down and down until the point you realize you get to today and you say, so start this. Because we didn't grow up, African Americans generally didn't grow up with this is how you do it. Our plan was go to college, you get a good paying job. That's it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not generational wealth. That's not good planning. Most of us don't find about credit until we don't have good credit.
That part.
Most of us don't find about like how to refinance a house if you need to, how to get a loan for a house. You don't think about that stuff. It was just go to college. So when I went to college, I got out. Where's my $35,000 paying job a year? Because I went to college. I did everything that was said.
Yeah.
I did the name it and claim it. I claimed my job. I still didn't get it.
Right.
And so we got to do a better job of coming down to the practical sense. And Tamika is very good at keeping me grounded into the
Mm.
practical sense.
The
Very good
love
at
of a
saying,
woman, I swear.
yes, it will
Yes.
change your life.
Yes.
And so one of the things that Tamika does, so Tamika has a heart for children. She has a heart for kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so the motivation to adopt came from Tamika.
Mm.
She homeschooled our kids for a very long time because she wanted to implant in them, because, 54,000 hours are spent from 0 to 18 at school and after school activities. 48,000 hours are spent in your house.
Mm.
18,000 hours are spent at church or whatever, or any religious service. So those 54,000 hours will always outweigh how much time we spend with our kids.
Right.
And Tamika wanted to get the most with our kids to develop
Mm-hmm.
them as leaders,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't raise followers, we raise leaders and disciple makers. And so Tamika did a very good job of researching everything, figuring stuff out. If she couldn't do it, she wasn't afraid to ask for help and go seek it out. She did a very good job of getting things organized. Our kids, they just stopped homeschooling this year, so they can go to high school, their senior year and stuff. But our kids got trained as if they were in college. I mean, they took African American history, African American business. They took a lot of different courses so they can see the totality of the world.
Yeah.
Because on a global scale, the world is suffering. But that's all that Tamika did.
Mm.
And the whole thing about that is, like, especially for your spouses, you got to learn. It's not that behind a good man stands a greater woman. It's generally you're standing next to each other, and then you know when to submit to each other. You know when to say, okay, you take the lead and let me know how I can support. And
Yes.
so I supported Tamika, whether it was I go and do the work. And like I always tell people, I know my role in this
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to make the money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that money.
Okay.
And just give me a little bit to spend. That's all I ask.
Right. Come on, director of missions.
Yes, right. That's all I need to do. But
Yes.
it's knowing your role in each time. And it's not being afraid. It's not being afraid to let the other person outshine you. Right.
Mm.
I don't need the glory because it's not a competition, but a
Right.
collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the same team. I'm not trying to get more points than you. I don't need to be the MVP. We just need to win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Skip the MVP of the season. I want to win the championship.
Right.
And so with Tamika, I had to learn to submit myself to her. Now, for hearing that doesn't sound like it's very biblical. Wives submitting to your husbands. But what I notice is a lot of people aren't biblically literate, so they don't really understand what Paul was trying to get across to that. Because back in that time, the women weren't educated at all. And so they were just saying anything or doing anything. So Paul was saying, like, hey, just submit and learn. And when it came to that submission, it's not that you're going to get down and do
They
what I
hyping these
say.
comments right
Yeah, I
now.
know, I see that. But it's not that you're going to do what I say. It's not that you're under my foot. It is that I'm leading in such a way that you want to follow. That's where real submission comes from.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to things that I'm good at leading at, because I'm leading it well, because I'm following Christ, Tamika's trusting God that I'm following, doing the right thing. She wants to submit to that. When it comes to Tamika's thing, I got to trust and I got to know she's good at this, so I'm going to submit to that because really I'm learning how to follow Christ in this. It's not about my personal ego. We don't need to. I mean, what's the competition? I mean, my kids don't say, "Dad, you're the real MVP." No, it's we're working together,
Y'all
and then we're going to be united.
Yep.
So Tamika really helped me doing that and doing that during our delinquent phase of teaching kids. She really taught me a lot, and she helped me get grounded. She's the reason. She inspired me to go for a master's, inspired me to go for my doctorate. She's been always on my team. And so when Tamika's like, I hear God telling me to do this, I want to do this, I'm on your side. Just tell me what you need me to do for you. How can I serve you right now in this instance? Because we are a team.
It's beautiful. I'm so impressed. That is beautiful. I told you we could sit here and talk for like 3 hours because there's so many layers to your story. But I love to see a Black male. Y'all, we sell apparel and we talking about mental wellness, but we're going to talk about it all tonight. I love to see Black love and just like everything that you just said, all that wrapped up into your accolades and all that stuff, but you still to have the wisdom to say and know what you just said is beautiful. And I have some amazing people in the comments that are really hyping you up. Amen to the seed planting. Mama with 3 boys is showing some love. Bianca was saying that it means being in purpose, which he absolutely is in his purpose. That's amazing. Amen to submitting to each other, equally yoked. Yes, submit to each other. Beautiful spirit, serving one another. This is the intent of God's ordained marriage. I love it. Thank you for sharing about that. Family is so important to mental health. Marriage, if some people don't desire that, but in my opinion, it's beautiful and it's essential to mental health when you're in a good relationship, when you're in a good partnership. So I appreciate you sharing that. I also wanted to talk a little bit more about your military experience because I know that you touched on the PTSD, but I also know that you lost some soldiers of yours while you were in the military. So I wanted to talk to you about how that affects. I've never heard any one of my friends verbally say out loud how losing, battle buddies, or I don't know the other terms, I don't want to say it wrong, but losing these people to suicide. We can all assume how that may affect you. But you literally saw, did you see people do this?
So as a paralegal specialist, like you have to look through all these files, right? Okay. So if we're investigating somebody's gone, you do an investigation, they get it all together, then you compile it all together. So there were a lot of suicide pictures that I had to look at. There were a lot of photos I had to look at that I would rather not. And so the thing about that is, so that could be secondary PTSD. And what happens is it gets trapped in your brain. So there's certain things that will trigger it really quick. Right. And the reaction was, as a paralegal, like I'm dealing with a rape victim. She's falling in my arms. I can't mourn with her. Right. I got to pick her up because she's got to testify in court. I got to encourage her to get back up there. You can do this, but that's still trapped. Right. And so, the mission got done, but there's an internal war going on inside of me now because I just can't separate that. And for years, I just blocked it off. If I'm mad, if I'm stressed, or if something's triggering it, just block it off, do the mission, whatever you got to do, and be done. But that's not healthy because you're going to end up destroying yourself. Because whether you want to deal with it, whether you want to deal with it or not, it's still happening inside of you. Whether I want to deny it or not, I'm still struggling. I'm just not going to show it. And so when I lost some soldiers to suicide, that really affected me. Because I blame myself. What didn't I do to why didn't I catch this? Why? And you start to question that. But I gotta move on. I gotta keep doing the thing. And so it's hard. It's hard. And this is what I like to tell people. Like some of us are in the valley, some of us on the top, but most of us are really climbing up the hill. We're right in the middle. You don't stay in the valley too long. You don't stay on the top too long. Most of
Exactly.
us are right in the middle. Like even right now, most of us are right in the middle.
Yeah.
And so in that middle time is where you're struggling, right? Because in the valley, you can say it's dark, but God is good. It's going to get me out. You get encouraging, inspiring, voice to man music. I will get there. When you get to the mountaintop, you're rejoicing. But in between, my legs are sore. I'm tired. I want to quit. I want to give up. And that's where really that PTSD is. It's right in that middle part for me. And so I had to learn to deal with it. So I started getting some tattoos to remind myself and do some breathing exercises. I talk to Tamika. I go to therapy, individual and group.
Before you get into that, don't go too fast. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But that was a good segue though. That's a lot. So I'm gonna ask you this. I guess you got a formal diagnosis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think it was just the secondary, or were there other things that you specifically had gone through that may have triggered the PTSD?
Yeah, there were other things. I remember I remember like in the sense of someone decided they could touch my person freely. Like a lot of women decided that, hey, he's a good looking guy, he's in great shape. I mean, people would touch parts of my body that they weren't really allowed to. But because I was an African American male, because I was a paralegal and I knew the statistics, if I said something and they refuted it and they took me to court, statistics show that I was going to lose. And so I decided to live in silence of that as opposed to speaking about it. And that made me feel like a hypocrite inside. So you got that, and then I'm seeing traumatic pictures. I'm having to hear someone's trauma over and over and over again. You're seeing things that are horrible. People are committing suicide around you, but you got to act like you got it all together because good soldiers do that stuff, right? We're taught from the very little, hey, power through, because that's what we've had to do for so long. We're taught just push through. That's why you listen to a lot of our gospel songs. It's all about overcoming and getting through, and God is with you. And we're all about getting to the mountaintop. But I like the songs that tell me I'm stuck in the middle.
Okay.
What the heck do I need to do? Because I'm not down there no more. I'm not up there. I am in the middle, and I am mad. So the question is, how do I deal with that? What do I do? And from the sexual trauma, from the visual things I saw, the things I had to do, from the lack of trust that it created in me, it made me bitter and angry on the inside. And so I had to learn something very important.
I'll let you know when your sound comes back, because I know sometimes. Oh, there you go. Yep.
That was on me. So I had to learn something very important, that I will never be able to go back to who I was.
Right.
So let me appreciate who I am now, and let me learn how to operate in this current state of mind. And that was a hard thing for me to get through, because I wanted to go back. I wanted to be who I was before, but I'm not. And so that means sometimes I'm going to get upset, and I might have to take some breathing exercises. That means that I'm going to have to go to therapy. That means that Tamika sometimes is going to have to pull me aside to say, hey, are you okay? And I got to be honest to say no sometimes.
So what does, I've had people come on the Soul Seat and share bipolar disorder or PTSD. All of these things are going to look different for each individual. So is this something that you take medication for, or you just self-treat holistically? And also I wanted to know, like, what does an episode, if that's not too touchy, what does an episode for you look like?
So an episode, I can tell when it's starting. I can kind of sense it. I can kind of feel it. And the big thing is, if I can catch that in time, to start breathing exercises. Sometimes I'll quote scripture. I'll look at, I got this tattoo by Hope 29:11 or Jeremiah 29:11 to remind myself. Sometimes I got all that sensey stuff that I might do. So it's about doing those little things and being okay that I'm pissed off, right? If I'm mad, I got to be okay that I'm mad. And I got to be unashamed that I'm mad. And it's even telling people, yeah, I got PTSD. So they'll know. So if they see something, they'll come to me instead of me living this secret and losing my job because I just, it's one of those things where you have to guard yourself. It's also realizing, okay, what are my values? What do I love? Let me do some things, some actions or activities that reflect those values and what I love, because that's going to fill me back up again. It's spending time reading scripture, time praying. It's taking medication and be okay saying, oh, you take Zoloft? Yes. Why? Because if I don't, I might punch you in the face. What do you want me to do? Which one would you rather have?
Okay, you got this and that.
Yeah, no, pick one, right? So it's realizing that it's okay if I'm medicated. It's okay if it's a holistic treatment. It's okay if I tell people, and I don't have to be ashamed about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was sick and I needed you to go to the store to give me some medicine, I will call you and ask you.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not do the same thing? Mental illness or mental struggles or mental health, it's more common than we think. We just don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not that people all of a sudden got weak. It's that people all of a sudden was like, why do I keep screaming?
Yeah,
Why am I
and
yelling at my
it's simply a
child?
natural response to all the
Hmm.
things that we go through. That's
Right.
all it is. You know, you break a
Yep.
bone, you got to go see a doctor or, osteo doctor or something like that. If you've seen
Hmm.
something, like I just learned a family member, 79 years old, watched his mother be murdered by her
Hmm.
sister. That is
Yeah.
something that he hadn't talked about for a very long time. This is when he was
Yeah.
4 years old, and he hadn't really talked about it. 79 years old, crying about it.
Right.
If you see something like that, it doesn't just go away. And all
No.
those emotions just started coming up because he hadn't talked
Yeah.
about it. And
Yeah.
it blew my mind to see a man at that age breaking down about something that happened when he was 4 years old. So those
Yeah.
things never go away. It's simply any
No.
mental illness bouts or mental health issues. It's just a response from something that you've gone through or you experienced. So it's natural. So we have to
Hmm.
talk about it more.
Yeah. And so when I can like so my shoulders will get broad, I'll get tense.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you tell people so they can look out for you. Hey, are you okay? So it stops you because what happens is you can step a little bit too far out in that and it's hard to come back. And so
Absolutely.
you want someone there to let them know, like, I don't mind telling people, yes, I have PTSD. So that way that they know. Because it's not just for their information, it's so I can be okay. Because
Yeah.
I might need it. I might
Yeah.
need someone to stop me.
Yeah. You may
And
need their
so,
support, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, ask the doc, because there's something that you might need Zoloft because it might be that bad. You might need therapy and then you might
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be humble enough to say it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be humble enough to request it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you just coast out. I mean, I'm thankful and I'm grateful that I have people around me that care about me. And so, like I told my brothers, I told my mother, I told my dad, and I shared it because, hey, you might have it too. You don't know. And the only way to find out and so I even asked Tamika, like, am I different than I was before the military? She was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
really?
For
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not the same person, and that's how you know,
Yeah.
right? Because with PTSD, you don't know that you're acting out on it. You think
Mm-hmm.
it's normal. You think it's rational, and
Mm-hmm.
then when it's all over, you still think it was okay. So it takes someone saying, yeah, you're not okay,
Right, right,
right?
right. That's beautiful because you talked about being married for 19 years and having gone through
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've gone through, the transitions with your career,
Mm-hmm.
with politics, and being pastors and foster parents, and now military, and after that, experiencing PTSD. That's a
Mm-hmm.
testament of your love, but also Black men getting the help that you deserve, getting the help that you
Mm-hmm.
need, and that way your
Yeah.
partner can stand beside you so that they aren't pushed
Yeah.
out of a relationship or a marriage because you
Yeah.
refuse to get help or name the
Yeah.
name, face the
Yeah.
thing. So again, shout out to you. I'm super proud of you, and I'm so thankful that we met and that you shared your story with me and that you shared a piece of it here. The last thing
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you, and we did touch on this a little bit, is about, I'm going to ask you, what do you do? So in the beginning of the interview, I always ask
Mm-hmm.
people, what do you do? Who are you? We've heard some
Mm-hmm.
of the things that you've gone through. I'm again impressed to see all the things that you've been able to do despite those things that you've gone through. What are
Mm-hmm.
you doing on a day-to-day basis? It doesn't have to be every day, but how are you keeping yourself well? What things are you doing, or have you taught yourself to do so that you can thrive in spite of?
I taught myself to relax a little bit, go work out, get some
Mm-hmm.
of that physical tension out, to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just got to laugh because you can't
Yep.
change everything.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to take a break from social media. I'm going to take a break from looking at the news. Because sometimes an overwhelming amount of information makes us all sad. Um, Sometimes it's, you know what, I'm not going to do anything tonight. But what I'm really doing is giving myself a mental break from everything else. Life is so overwhelming in itself that I try to do something that's mentally stimulating. That instead of like vegging out and just watching TV, which I'm okay with binging, but it has its time and place. I'm trying to stimulate my mind because that's going to make me feel more relaxed.
Mm. And what do you
Because
mean
my
by that?
mind, what I mean is like I encourage people, especially during COVID. I told them, especially healthcare workers, when you go home, If your thing is doing crossword puzzles, if your thing is doing, mine was doing woodwork, do that. Stimulate your mind, because it's not that you're physically tired all the time, your mind is tired. And so give your mind a break by doing something that brings it joy, to release those chemicals, to those endorphins, to make you happy. As opposed to going home, dreaming about work, thinking about work, obsessing over a conversation that you didn't say what you wanted to say. Let that mental stimulation come out. And one of the things that I do, I just started doing, was when I'm driving in my car, I push, when I come at home, I push record, and I have a memo, and I'm saying exactly how I feel at that moment in time, how the day went. And what I'm doing is getting that stuff out. Because
Yeah.
what's the use of taking that stuff home before I get
Yeah.
there? You need to get that
Wow.
stuff out.
One of my
Yeah.
friends shared with me that she started like voice recording and voice journaling
Yep.
recently. She said
hmm
it has been
It is
phenomenal for
great.
her.
It is great.
Wow. And that
And
also is a testament to what psychotherapy is. It's just talk
hmm
therapy. So if you can't
yep.
afford therapy, maybe you can write it out, or maybe you can just record voice
hmm
memos. And this is why I do this podcast, and I especially do this segment at the end, what do you do? Because maybe
hmm
something that he shares or someone else shares is something you've never heard of before. And you
Right.
like, you know
Right.
what, I might try that. Again, these are not like we're writing a prescription to say that you need to do this if you have
Right. Right.
PTSD, but this is what helps him. And maybe if you hadn't heard of it or thought about doing it, you can try it
Yep.
too. So I appreciate you sharing that. I know that you
hmm
also do Taekwondo, right? Or you used to?
Yep. Taekwondo. I might be getting into kickboxing. Doing schoolwork, learning things. I'm trying to learn Korean and Spanish. So those things are mentally stimulating, and it's fun. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to become fluent. It's something different.
Yep.
And so my mind is getting trained, which is helping my memory. And it's
Yep.
also taking my mind off everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then just spending time reading scripture and praying. Sometimes even when I'm doing the voice memo, I'm actually praying at the same time. Or listening to books. Like I read The Life Narrative of Frederick Douglass. I just finished W.E. Du Bois' Soul of Black Folks.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm doing The Lost History of Christianity, talking about the Eastern Church. Um, I'll just read different books sometimes. Not read. I'll listen to different books as I'm driving. Just something to learn and educate myself.
Yeah.
And then I try to look at the world in a global way. Um, Not just because I want to say to myself, it's not that bad, but I want to see there's more out there than what's just being
Yeah.
presented to me. So
Absolutely.
let me look at a global concept of the world, so I can truly understand, because it's going to make me a better individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
hmm
I would have never thought that I would meet a pastor and be able, a former pastor, however you want to
hmm
word it, and be able to have a conversation like this, because everything, even though we have talked about God, we've talked about church, Jesus, all those things, you have a worldly view. And I know even
hmm
Christians misuse that word sometimes when they hear
Oh yeah,
worldly. It's like, oh, you're in the world, but like we live in the world,
in the
guys. Like we
world.
can't
Yeah,
just
yeah,
ignore everything about it.
yeah.
So I love that,
hmm
we've talked about things like racism, inequality, equality, social issues, suicide, mental health. Like
hmm
what? I've
hmm
I've been in opportunities where I could have had conversations like that, but the mindset just is not there. Because if you
Right.
talk about this, it means that you're not Christian. If you talk about this, it means that you're less than this, or you're lukewarm.
Right.
But these things exist. So I just appreciate your mind. I appreciate you being open to all the things that we've talked about today. And I think that's it. I know we talked about some of the things that you do, but I wait a minute. I don't think that's it. I think we talked about the breathing exercises, therapy, tattoo therapy,
hmm
taekwondo. You like music, you like to read, self-care. And I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I
Yep.
really want this part of the interview to pierce the mind of other Black men that may have not
hmm
that have not gotten to this point in their mental health journey. What does self-care look like for you, if you haven't already shared some of those things?
Self-care really is, what are some activities that I can do that represent the values and the things that are important to me? Basically, life-giving things. What are those things, and what do they look like? So I enjoy spending time with my son, both my sons. Um, but me and Curran play basketball like every Saturday. So I actually had to learn to play basketball and get better because Curran was killing me. Um, but that meant a lot to me. Um, my daughter Amber likes to watch movies, so I'm big on getting movies and talking about them with her. My daughter Brooklyn can do any and everything, so we tend to do any and everything together. We can build stuff together. DJ likes to wrestle and hurt me, I guess. Um, or just laugh, or like he'll call me on his little gizmo. So doing things like that. Tamika likes to spend that quality time together. She likes eye contact. I'm trying to get better on that. She likes to have the eye contact and just sitting down and talking and going out. So I do those things. And then for myself, like I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself physically. Because I want to be here for a while. So I take care of myself physically. But like those activities I'm talking about, family is important to me. And so that's why I do it, because it's going to give life back to me. And I think sometimes when we think self-care, we think, oh, I just got to do this one thing by myself. Yeah. Self-care truly is, what do I value, and what activity can reflect that. Right. And because that's taking care of this inside. Because I mean, outwardly we are dying daily, but inwardly we can be renewed, be refreshed. So I'm doing things to be renewed and be refreshed. I'm doing things that are going to help me not necessarily look young, but just be young at heart. I'm doing things that bring me joy. That to me, that's self-care. This is bringing me joy and it's giving me life. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with the Soul Tribe family before we leave out? I guess that I just love Tamika. So that's yes, you better show your wife, y'all. I love that. And I love that she was able to join us too. Thank you, Joseph. This has been amazing. Keep doing everything that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else that you do, how else God is going to use you on this journey. So thank you for sharing your story and being part of the Soul Tribe family. And you have an amazing night. I'm going to stay on and talk to the Soul Tribe family for a little bit more, but this has been amazing. And I'll put the episode up on YouTube as well so everybody can see it. Okay. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Stay well. You too. Bye-bye. All right. That was so dope, y'all. Episode 12 is done. It's in the books. Another amazing episode. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to TikTok over here. Y'all, they hanging out with us on TikTok as well. So that was a success. If you don't already follow us on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube, all the things, make sure you go do that. We were talking about mental wellness tonight, but don't forget, Soul Rise Essentials is a unisex affirmation apparel brand for the entire family and for resilient humans on the grow. You can always shop on our website at any time at soulriseessentials.com. Share this episode with somebody. Share our brand with somebody. We are on a mission to help people remember to mind their mind. Our merch empowers them to thrive, empowers you to thrive on your best days and in between. This is just an extension on the Soul Seed Conversations of something that we want to do to further push our mission of global mental wellness. So I hope something that Joseph said was helpful to you. A lot of gems were dropped. We talked about everything from mental health to military, politics, God, racial stuff, like all kind of stuff, marriage, Black love. Like, don't we love to see it? It was amazing. So I think I have a couple more announcements actually, but I lost a paper. And I don't know where it is. Oh, wait, I think it's in here. Ooh. Thank y'all for joining me. This is always so great. I see a couple people coming on in, y'all. We've been on for like an hour. Hey, Lady M. What's up, Asia? And it was a great episode as always. Y'all, I can't find my paper. But I will see you next month. As you know, we do Soul Seed Conversations once a month on a Thursday. Sometimes we do them in the afternoon. Sometimes we do them in the evenings. Where can I watch that? The replay is going to be on IGTV, and it's also going to be uploaded on YouTube. That's a great question. So if you ever miss any episode, always go to our IGTV if you're on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, you can go to our YouTube. So just go to YouTube and type in Soul Seed Conversations, or you can type in Soul Rise Essentials and the playlist will pop up as well. That's a great question. But nonetheless, I hope that was a good answer for you. Y'all, that's it. I think that's it. But yeah, y'all have an amazing night. Thank y'all for joining me. Go shop. You just got a notification just now. Oh no, Instagram be doing too much. Get on our mailing list so you can get a notification as soon as we go live, because I did send an email out too. But y'all go check out those new bucket hats. Okay, it's 4 of them. We got orange. We got the blue on orange. Very cute. Y'all want me to put it on? Because this is actually my favorite one. Very cute. That was fire, man. Joseph is an amazing guy. Okay. I don't have any hair, so it look a little funny on me, but it's still cute. It's still giving, okay?
those are on the website. We have the pink, we have the green, and we have the yellow. We have our new loved affirmation necklaces. Not on the website just yet, y'all, but it's coming. If you get on our email list, you'll save 15% off your first purchase, and you will find out when the loved affirmation necklaces come out. Oh, you at dance class? Well, as soon as I get off, I promise it's going right up on IGTV. For YouTube, it's going to be a little while, a couple hours, maybe tomorrow, but it'll definitely be up tonight. Also, we have our resilient necklaces. Let me show y'all those. We have Black Pack Lights affirmation t-shirts now, y'all. Go get y'all some merch, okay? Gold, rose gold, silver, whatever tickles your fancy, boo, we got it. They are waterproof, tarnish free. They are hypoallergenic. Long story short, you can wear them all the time, anytime, morning, noon, or night. When it's wet, when it's dry, when it's raining, when it's pouring, when it's snowing. It don't matter. Hawaii, well, we don't ship globally yet. Very, very soon. But Hawaii, Georgia, Florida, California, whatever. Soul Tribe affirmation necklaces. This is our original size right here. But we also have them in minis. Our minis can fit adults and children. Cutest thing ever, okay? Y'all can go cop those. And what else, y'all? We also have these Pack Light dad hats, the distressed ones, in 3 different colors. Actually, 4 different colors. So this one, there's one with a sunshine on it, is a gold one. Very cute. Would recommend, 10 stars. There's also a lime green one. And we got, just go on the website. You're going to see what's on there, girl. Okay, soulriseessentials.com. I will see y'all in the next video. See y'all next month for episode 13 of Soul Seed Conversations is Lit. If you have a story, email us, mystory@soulriseessentials.com. Stay well, be well, y'all. Peace. Thank y'all for joining.